Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, we're going to actually be covering an education video. We will be learning about what support and resistance levels are, which is one of the basic and most fundamental things every trader needs to know. So in this video, you'll learn how to identify them and also how to structure your trade based off of these levels. Let's start with defining what support and resistance is. So they are chart patterns that refer to the price levels that either act as a floor for price or a ceiling. At support levels, which is the floor, stocks typically bounce. Before stocks hit a support level, they are downtrending, and at these levels, buyers will come in to cause the stock to find support as indicated by the name and start uptrending again. Keep in mind, just like with the candlestick patterns we talked about in the last video, just because the stock has found support there before does not mean it has to again. It could always keep downtrending. At resistance levels, stocks typically reject and fall back down to support levels. When a stock hits resistance levels, it is uptrending, but then sellers come in and overwhelm the buyers, which creates that resistance because they cannot break through and they get rejected, pushing them back down into a downtrend. So now that we have defined what support and resistance levels are, let's go over how you can actually use these levels to take trades. So we know that a support level is where the stock price typically stays at or above. We know that at the support level, there are enough buyers to keep it from going below. However, the buyers do not always have to show up, and sometimes it can fall below this support. But for now, let's focus on the scenario that buyers are there. When identifying a support, the key thing to look out for is how many times that stock has hit that level. If the stock has only hit that level once or twice, you really do not have that much to go off on. So the best thing to do is be patient, wait for the stock, and let it confirm that support. We are typically looking at an area where the stock has touched it at least 3 or more times. Once we have confirmation that is a support, you can now use this to take your trade. Now we're going to go over how to use resistance levels to trade. We know at a resistance level, price normally gets rejected. This means that buyers gave out and sellers come in to reject the price. So we can use these levels to trade by several different ways. The first way is we can close our long positions if we are buying in at the support. That is one way to trade these levels. The second way is by going short. So when you're going short, you're selling shares at a higher price to buy them back or cover at a lower price. So you profit the difference. Since price typically gets rejected at resistance, going short allows you to make money as it heads back down towards support. Alright, so let's use AMD as an example to chart out our support levels. So as we discussed in the PowerPoint, we know support levels is an area where stocks typically bounce at. So right around this area, you can see we had it bounce several times over the course of, now I'm on the 4-hour time frame, so this is over several months, but you notice that each time we hit this area, we bounce back up. So we can say clearly that this is an actual support. Now we talked about how a resistance level is where a stock typically touches and it gets rejected. So right here is a good resistance level. You notice that we push up, we get rejected, then we find support right here, and sometimes we do deviate below it, but we normally snap right back up to that support. As you can see, when we get close to that resistance, we fall back down, and same right around here. You can see there was a candle wick right here, meaning that we did touch that, but we didn't close there. But that still shows rejection because buyers were able to push price all the way up to here, but then we got rejected. Once again, we got rejected. Now, you may ask, how can I take trades based off these levels? Well, a good entry is to buy at support. Now we discussed this in the slides. So you buy at support, and then if you're long, that means you're buying at support. You typically tag out when you hit resistance. So when I mean tag out, you take profit. So you sell when it takes profit. Now in real time, you don't have hindsight, so you get candles like this right here, and then we hit support several more times before a couple weeks ahead we get resistance levels. So you can tag out sooner, but when you're on the 4-hour time frame, you're typically holding trades for longer because you're swing trading. Now, if you're on the 15-minute time frame, you can also identify support and resistance levels on the 15-minute. But we're looking at the bigger picture, so you can see this is clearly a resistance and this is clearly a support. So when we're trading like this, we also use the word horizontal. We're staying horizontal. Now, like I said, you take entries at support and you sell at resistance. Now, if you're shorting, you take entries at resistance and you sell at support. Also, when I've talked about in other videos, when you're taking trades, you also need to have some type of stop loss implemented. Now, that really depends on how much you want to risk. Now, I normally like to do my stop losses on wicks based off of previous patterns. So my stop loss would be typically right here at this level if I was trading, and I would stop out at these candles, but I would get right back in once it showed that it was confirmed the support and it's not going down any lower. As you can see, what typically happens with support and resistance levels is we normally break out of them. So we consolidated for a couple months and we geared up and we broke out. Now, a breakout happens when you break through a resistance, and then to confirm that resistance, you come back and test it. And we use this term called old resistance becomes new support, because you notice that when we broke out, we came right back to this old resistance level. Now we're using it as a support. Now, AMD, after it broke out, it just went for it, and we're starting to trade in this newer area. But I wanted to just show y'all how support and resistance levels work. And now, once again, we're starting to do this horizontal movement in this price area as well. So we're probably consolidating for a couple of months as we have been, and we're looking for that breakout up. But anyways, guys, this was just a quick little tutorial on how to identify support and resistance levels and how to actually use that to trade. Now, I can make more videos in the future about this and how to really go in depth about it. So if you would like to see that, just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more educational videos. Thank you once again.